He steps up. The ball rolls to the spot. 40,000 hearts held hostage, and he chips it, softly, down the middle. He was born in Madrid, raised by Spain. So why is he the one breaking it? Achraf Hakimi, the boy Spain made, who chose to carry his parents' country instead. This is the story of belonging, of a passport that said one thing and a heart that said another. You'll see a penalty chipped against the country of his birth, a nation reaching a semi-final no African team had ever touched, and a choice that explains everything. Because at the 2022 World Cup, Morocco became the first African and Arab nation ever to reach a semi-final. And Hakimi was at the heart of it. But before any of that, a decision. Spain wanted him. Morocco wanted him. He was eligible for both. He chose Morocco, his parents' nation, not the one printed on his documents. To understand why, you have to go back to a small home in Madrid and two parents who had almost nothing. Part 1. The Boy from Madrid. He was born on the 4th of November 1998 in Madrid to a Moroccan immigrant family who, it's reported, arrived with dreams and little else. Reported details paint the picture. A father who sold goods on the street, a mother who cleaned other people's homes. They sacrificed everything so their son could chase a ball. And that ball took him somewhere impossible. At around 8 years old, Real Madrid's academy, La Fábrica, opened its doors to him. Think about that. The greatest club on earth, raising the son of a street vendor and a cleaner. Spain was shaping him into a footballer. And in 2017, it happened. His first team debut under Zinedine Zidane himself. The dream fully realized. He was quick, fearless, a right-back who attacked like a winger. But at the Bernabeu, there was no clear path forward. Ahead of him stood established stars. The academy had made him, but making the bench was not the same as making the team. So the question hung over everything. If Madrid couldn't give him minutes, where would he prove himself? Part 2. The Breakout. In 2018, Real Madrid loaned him to Borussia Dortmund. Away from home, into a new league, a new language. And in Germany, he exploded. The pace became a weapon. Defenders simply could not keep up with him. Overlapping runs, whipped crosses, goals of his own. He turned into one of the most exciting fullbacks in all of Europe. Watch him arrive from deep and finish like a striker. The boy who couldn't get minutes at Madrid was now unmissable. 2 seasons in Germany answered the first question. He belonged at the top. So surely, Real Madrid would bring him home. But they didn't. In 2020, the club that raised him from the age of 8 made their decision, and it wasn't to keep him. They sold him to Inter Milan, the academy's own creation, cashed in and shipped to Italy. Rejection could have broken him. Instead, it sharpened him. In Antonio Conte's system, he became a flying wing-back. Goals, assists, relentless running down the right. And at the end of that first season, a Serie A title. Champion of Italy in his very first year there. The club that let him go was watching a winner they no longer owned. He'd proven himself in Spain's academy, in Germany, in Italy. But the biggest stage of club football was still calling, and so was a question about who he really was. Part 3. Paris and the choice. In 2021, Paris Saint-Germain came for him. A move into a squad of superstars and one of the biggest projects in the sport. Alongside the biggest names on the planet, he became one of the best fullbacks on earth. Tireless, explosive, everywhere on that right flank. crosses fizzing in, overlaps nobody could track. He was no longer the boy chasing a chance, he was a star in his own right. But away from the glamour, that older question grew louder. Spain had raised him. Spain wanted him for their national team. He said no. He chose Morocco, the country of his parents, the country of those sacrifices in Madrid. For Hakimi, it was never really a choice at all. His roots ran deeper than any passport. And in 2022, that decision would collide with the country of his birth. Part 4. The Turn. Qatar, 2022. No African or Arab nation had ever reached a World Cup semi-final. Morocco arrived as outsiders, but something was building. A defense that refused to break. A team playing for more than themselves. And Hakimi was the engine. Bombing forward, sprinting back, a leader in everything but the armband. Then came the round of 16. The draw handed him the one opponent that meant everything. Spain. The country of his birth, the academy that raised him from 8, the nation that had wanted him. Standing in his way. 90 minutes couldn't separate them. Extra time couldn't either. It went to penalties, the cruelest lottery in sport. Spain missed. Morocco held their nerve. And it all came down to one kick, with Hakimi walking toward the spot. Think about what's inside his head in that moment. Everything he is split in two. Born there, fighting for here. And he doesn't blast it. He dinks it, a Panenka, chipped softly down the middle, the most audacious penalty in football. It floats in. Spain are out. The boy Madrid made has just broken the country that shaped him, and he runs to his mother in the stands. That image says everything. The sacrifices, the choice, the whole story landing in a single embrace. Morocco marched on, but history was still one game away, and the doubters weren't finished. Part 5. History. Next came Portugal in the quarter-final. Another giant. Another team expected to end the fairy tale. And again, Morocco stood tall. When the whistle blew, they had done what no African or Arab nation had ever done. Reached a World Cup semi-final. The first. Ever. A whole continent and millions across the Arab world carried by this team, with Hakimi driving down the right. The run would end in the semi-final, but the ceiling had been shattered. Morocco were no longer outsiders. They were history makers. And the boy from Madrid, who chose his parents' flag, was the beating heart of it all. Part 6. The Summit. Back in Paris, one prize still eluded him. The biggest in club football. The Champions League. And it's reported that in 2025, he finally lifted it. The Champions League, as part of a treble with PSG. The son of a street vendor and a cleaner, standing on the summit of European football. Every sacrifice repaid. From the academy reject Madrid sold to a champion of Europe. But there was one story still unfinished. The 2026 World Cup. And this time, Morocco arrive not as surprises, but as a team that has tasted history. He leads them again, a senior voice, a driving force. And Morocco reach the knockout rounds. The same relentless runs, the same fire. Carrying the hopes of a nation and a continent once more. In 2022, Morocco climbed higher than anyone ever had. The question now is whether Hakimi can take them one step further. The boy Spain built, the man who chose Morocco, the player who broke the country of his birth to lift his parents' country into the light. Belonging was never a question for him. It was the engine of everything, the choice that made the legend. And so the story sits, still open. One more step, one more question. Can he take them all the way? If this story stayed with you, subscribe to Beyond the Boots for more. The boots tell the story. We just follow the footsteps.